I think it's time that we as a nation have got to get back to basics about how we consume and limit the consumption of some of our energy resources. And what better place to start than at an educational institution and trying to set the example.
There are multiple challenges. I think there's an assumption that you build a LEED building and they will come and things will be wonderful. My perspective is a bit different. Buildings require maintenance, and they require continuous observation for operations to ensure that not only were they built to operate efficiently, but they are being operated efficiently. So some of the challenges that I've seen here at Ithaca College with our LEED buildings really was the upfront education, not only for the occupants and students of the buildings, but also for our facility services folks. These buildings may have new systems in them that they have not had to operate previously. The demands of new technology have been brought to bear in these buildings, and we need to continuously upgrade our skills from a facilities maintenance perspective. We have to educate the occupants on how to use these buildings.
Before we moved in, we had to understood the concept of we've got the building, but now we're going to have to learn how to adapt and work with the building. It isn't going to work by itself.
When the LEED buildings came online, one of the skills that we really did need to dive into a little bit was the geothermal heat pumps. They're an extended range heat pump. They have an operating range of around 20 degrees Fahrenheit to 110 degrees Fahrenheit water temperature. And it was something that we didn't have on campus before that we had to learn about. Also in the Peggy Ryan Williams Center, there was a device called a dedicated outside air handling unit. It's 100% outside air that comes into the building for ventilation. It goes through what we've referred to as in the industry as a heat wheel to recapture exhausting air heat. So there's virtually no energy used in tempering the air coming into the building. We're recapturing the air that's exiting.
We made a promise to ourselves some time ago when we knew we were building the first LEED building, that we were going to adopt what we would consider the best practice across campus. And so some of those entail very simple things that any area could adopt, any area that cleans. We first started adopting microfiber cloths. What we used to do is we used to have, throwaway wipes. So we've used microfiber technology, and now, most recently, to kind of speed up to the present day, is we're adopting a water-based technology. So I would say the way we would describe our cleaning practices is best practice.
Well, as far as the LEED buildings as they relate to us as a grounds member, let's maintenance with us, that's one. No irrigation, and well, not to mention the fact that they're energy efficient.
Some fantastic numbers in water reduction, approximately 40%. In both of our buildings, both of the LEED certified platinum buildings on campus have rooftop gardens. So we're seeing a reduction in rainwater runoff and storm runoff being utilized by those gardens. We're capturing rainwater and reutilizing it in the building or for irrigation around the buildings. We've installed the dual flush toilets. We've put in reduced flow faucets, so a 40% reduction is significant.
We moved into the building, and shortly after we realized that we needed to educate people about the building and how to use it efficiently. So we invited the architects to come and give a presentation, and that's when it started.
So often during design, we probably spend 60 to 70% of our time integrating with facilities people in terms of developing what the needs of the building are, and 30 to 40 with occupants. And there is a desire to make those facilities people happy. The recycling stations are an example of the location of them is very convenient. It's at each floor of the elevator. They can just pick it up with carts and take it down and take care of it, clean out the building. But some of the concerns that we've heard from occupants is it's very inconvenient to take my recycling all the way over to, the elevator and then every day at the end of the day.
After moving in the building, it was winter still, and we started noticing some behaviors that we started talking about, and it was just casual talk, but it built into something bigger as it went on. An example would be space heaters being used in private offices, and it was counterintuitive to what we thought that sustainability was about. And also another issue was recycling and composting. It felt like we were the only ones composting in the building, even though we weren't. We found out later. And then as spring approached and the windows started being opened when the temperatures were cooler outside or warm, it wasn't consistent with what we thought the heating system should be doing too. So Jamie contacted the architect and asked questions about the ideal temperatures that the windows should be used for, and kind of discussed having the architect come in and speak to the whole building so we could get the same message out. And there was a good turnout for that. And yes, I do believe, to get to your question, it was an eye-opener for a lot of people as far as the whole concept of the building, of working with the building, not expecting the building to do all the work for you.
One of the other challenges I think that we are facing in the LEED buildings is getting the occupant feedback back to the architects and engineers. It's something that is integral to the USGBC and to the whole LEED process, is that it's an integrated team effort. And while you can have the greatest design and engineering package in the world, if you really aren't then getting the feedback from the occupants, I don't see a continuation of quality redesign. And that has been somewhat challenging. I pick up the phone and I call the architects and engineers and I say, hey, here's what's happening in the Peggy Ryan Williams Center. Can you come and talk to me about this? And I think in many ways I've caught them by surprise. They're like, why are you calling me? You know, the building's been occupied for 2 years. I'm calling you because this is a challenge for us, and I want you to understand how the occupants are dealing with your design.
How do I feel about being in the building? I love it. I mean, it's a lot of light. It's wonderful to be able to kind of walk through the building in the morning, to be able to see pretty much everything that's going on in the building. Students going to classes. I'm able to see students, working in the trading room. They're hanging out in the cafe. They are, in the computer lab. And because of so many windows and open space, I'm able to see just all the activities that's happening, and so it's nice to have that welcoming kind of space when you first walk into the building.
We would like the building to be educational both for our current students and also prospective students. The current students our goal is for them to be in the building, using it in the classrooms, in the breakout rooms, in the study areas, the computer lab, the lounge areas. There's a cafe, a green cafe. And we want the students to be in the building, and we want them to be aware of the aspects of the building that promote energy conservation, that are sustainable. And so we want them to be able to see that visibly through signage and just everywhere they look, so that it really becomes part of the fabric of their life, and also so that it provokes them to ask more questions, that they could learn more about sustainability and conserving energy, that they might think about their own behaviors both within the building, and then of course the goal would be is even when they leave the building, are there other things that they could be doing? So that they're both surrounded by it and learning about it even without thinking about it, but then also that when they're provoked and they're thinking, okay, I want to know more about this, that there's information in the building, and that they feel proud to be in this LEED certified building, that they're part of what's really the future.
I think that we're doing enough in the sustainable and green movement, and now that at least we're mentioning it, at least we have 2 LEED Platinum buildings, at least our residence halls like really try and recycle, and at least it is mentioned, because in some places it still is an afterthought, but we at least put it on the front burner. I think what we could do a little differently, as far as if I'm satisfied with my sustainable experiences here at Ithaca College, I don't know if I'm 100% satisfied, because I think I'll be coming back next year to get a master's, so I want to be here again. But as far as the building and everything is concerned, I think we have great assets, but I don't know if everything is really followed through and executed as it could be. So I think we can really get the ball rolling through activities and like hands-on experiences. maybe some signage. I think statistics are key because people want to know if things are really working. So what better way to tell them if they're really working than say, well, in like 1999, the business school used this much energy, and in 2010 it used this much. If there's a clear difference, then I think I would have more satisfaction to know that I was a part of that.
There are some challenges. There are balancing that has to be done with the systems. One side of the building is sometimes warm and another side of the building is cool. But I've been most impressed with how people have bought into the concept of a LEED, a platinum building, and the whole concept of sustainability, and put together teams within the building to meet with representatives on campus and assess how we're doing. And so I think overall it's going to take time to get everything, I won't say to be perfect, but to get everything where we want it to be. But it's a team effort and people are working together well to do it.